We went to the plot last weekend with the intent of filming a garden tour, but things were not looking very good in there. So we just decided to do some harvesting and cleaning up. We haven't been there in a couple weeks, and some of the plants were really struggling without the watering, and there was a lot of powdery mildew in many of the plants too. Not on this eggplant though. The eggplant's been so far the star of the garden. You can see how healthy those plants look. The leaves look very nice and green. There's no holes, no disease or anything. And it's still producing fruit until now, so I'm harvesting as much as I can. There's not as many as last time, but it's still some good sized ones, and I'm going to also leave the smaller ones and not take these plants down this time because the new person that's going to take care of the plot already has started moving in, so she'll be able to harvest the rest of the eggplant if she wants. And I was able to harvest just a handful today, a few, maybe 5 or 6, and a lot of them were small, but it's okay. We are happy with all the eggplant we already got for this season. And after that I moved on to harvest some beans. The ones that were growing the trellises were most all taken by powdery mildew by now, so I was just harvesting the ones that were along the fence, and those are the Scarlet Runner bean variety. There were some dried pods already, so I'm going to be collecting those for seed. Those are actually very pretty. I love the way they look with the black and the pink sparkles. And when they are fully dried like this, they can be used for seed for next year. Or you could also, if you had a bunch, dry them to eat through the winter. But there are still some green ones too, and I decided to harvest those also. Lots of them were already big and maybe have more developed beans inside, but I have never really cooked them, and I'm excited to try it out. I want to see if cooking them from fresh like this, once I shell it will be faster, or if they are really big, I can also try drying them out to save it for the winter. Next, I moved on to the peppers. There were lots of jalapenos in there. And we decided to harvest the little ones too because I do want to pickle them. I've been saying that in the other videos that I wanted to do something with the peppers, and we've been eating them fresh, and I actually have frozen some because I didn't have time to film a video, but hopefully I can do that with this next batch. Also, I have a video from last year where I made maple pickled jalapenos for canning, so if you're curious you can check that out too. I will link the video in the description box down below. And I'm still thinking what I'm going to make with this batch now. I want to make something different possibly this year. And I was actually hopeful that I was going to get some poblanos also this time, and I didn't. We just harvested lots of jalapenos. The poblano plants this year didn't do very well, unfortunately. The plants did grow and got tall, but they didn't produce a lot of fruits, and the leaves always looked a little droopy. They're the ones planted behind the jalapenos in there. But it's okay, I'll take what I can get. I also saw some tomatillos in there that had just volunteered from years past. I planted tomatillos at the plots 3 years ago, and every year the plants come back, and more than one usually because I keep getting fruit also. So I decided to just harvest a few because they felt a little big so I can make some salsa, and I was grateful for that. It's always nice when you harvest things that you didn't have to plant yourself. I love volunteered and self-seeded things. I'm also going to save some seeds. The zinnias are looking a bit dried, and I will cut all of the heads so I can try to save the seeds for next year. I could wait a little more, but since this is probably going to be our last time here at the plot until the winter when we're going to come back to do our final cleanup, I decided to just go ahead and take all of them anyway. They were covered in powdered mildew, so I decided that I was just taking the heads home, and it would be easier for me to just clip the heads instead of clipping with the stems like I did on the first one. And I really hope that I can get some good seeds from these flowers because Florette announced that they're not going to sell any seeds for the next season in 2025, and I loved their varieties. I love their mute pastel colors, especially on this one over here. This one is called Alpenglow, and I really want to try to go gray next year, even though I know that she's probably going to be mixed with some of the other zinnias that I had growing here, but I still want to give it a try and see what we're gonna get now that I have more space and can plant more. I also decided to harvest some of the other ones that were around. This one is an Oklahoma ivory. It's a little zinnia, and these plants were fully dried. So I'm thinking that those seeds would probably be all mature. At least I'm hoping that they are. And I hope that they give us some cool cross-pollinated varieties. And I also took some of the unicorn mix ones that were here on this side, and we'll see. They all crossed with each other. We'll see what's gonna happen next year and what kind of cool flowers we're gonna get from all of the seeds over here. I'm actually really looking forward to it. And I ended up deciding to harvest some more dried flower heads too for seeds. So this one is the Indian Summer Rudbeckia. They looked so beautiful. I know that they also probably cross-pollinated with the other varieties of Rudbeckia that I had growing here in the garden. But it's okay, I really don't mind. I have a lot of space in the new place and I want to plant more native flowers in there as well. So I'm grabbing as much as I can to see if I can already start them this winter. I'm thinking to do the winter sowing method with all of those that I'm harvesting here, at least the Rudbeckias and some of the other native flowers that I have. So we'll see. That'll be a cool experiment to do this year. That was mostly it for the harvesting. I also want to dig some dahlia tubers today, so I went to grab my shovel. I was hoping to actually dig those up in November, but since we had to come here to do this major cleanup work, I decided to dig them now, especially because the new person is already coming here to the plot and doing some of her own things, so I want to clear up a lot of this space. So this time I remembered to bring my shovel, and what I'm doing here, I'm digging around the tuber. I started a little farther first and then got a little closer to be able to lift it, and look at that! We have tubers! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see it this time. The plants here did a lot better than the ones that I dug on my backyard. This one made a nice and beautiful clump that hopefully I'll be able to divide and get many viable tubers. So I was really happy to see that on the first one that we dug. I only had about 6 varieties of dahlias here on this bed. And the second one that I dug had a lot smaller tubers than the first one, but I'm still happy. I'll take everything that I can, like I said before, and waiting a little bit more really seemed to have made a bit of a difference. Some of the tubers were still small, but at least we had tubers this time. And I was thinking to do a how-to video showing you guys how to properly divide and all of that, but since I did not have a good harvest at all at the end, I might unfortunately have to skip on that. And this is all we got this time. We only had tubers in 5 plants and 2 of them were really small. Alright, now it's time to do the bigger cleanup and start saying goodbye to this place. I am putting these plants in just a regular black trash bag because they were covered in powdered mildew. I also noticed a lot more bugs and insects around, so I did not want to put this in the clear bag for composting. But that's alright. It's a little sad to start cleaning everything out here and knowing that this is the end of an era, that we're not going to be coming back here next year. We had a really good time trying to grow here for the last 4 years. I learned immensely, and even though we had challenges and I got a little frustrated with rats in this past couple seasons, I am still very grateful to the experience of gardening here in the city and learning everything that I learned. Gardening was a very important aspect of my mental health in this crazy busy city. I know many people love it, but it was always a bit hard for me, and I really enjoyed having some green space that I could come to and just decompress a little bit and feel grounded and more close to nature. And I really enjoyed creating content here too and doing all the garden tours and documenting my journey and interacting with many more New York gardeners and neighbors passing by. They also enjoyed having a green space nearby and walking by every day. So wishing the best of luck to the next person that takes care of the space here. We had to hurry up and get going. But the owner of the plot offered it to another neighbor, someone that also lives here in Astoria and had seen the garden before. So I'm sure she's going to do a great job taking care of here too. And I decided that I'm going to leave the arches in here. And it started to get a little late, so Danny came out and started helping me cleaning up in here. But we didn't have a chance to film the whole process, and we are going to still have to come back in the winter when everything is killed by the frost and easier to clean, to do a very final cleanup and officially pass this place over and say goodbye.